Britain is a failed society. It's a collapsed nation. It's over. I don't see it getting any better. The political corruption in this country is so far removed from society that I don't believe there's any coming back, even with maybe Reform UK. I just simply don't think it. So if that offends you, I'm not sorry.
Hi, today we're gonna watch Jaden Harris. He's gonna talk to us about why he's gonna leave Britain very soon. Let's see what he has to say and let's see if we can relate.
Britain is a miserable place to live, and I don't see why anyone would want to live here for much longer. I myself have been thinking of moving out of the UK for quite a while now, and I'm thinking of moving out because there are three main reasons, and I'm going to split those reasons up into this video. I'm going to go through each one. So the first main reason I've got written down here is British culture. What I mean by this is more of the politics of it. So our culture at the moment, we don't have a British culture. Now that's a statement that may get me in a lot of trouble, especially with the woke crowd. I think Britain doesn't have an overall umbrella culture like it used to. You used to be able to recognise what Britain was culture. Now we can't identify any aspect of a singular British culture. We have pursued this path of multiculturalism under Tony Blair from 1997 onwards, and ultimately I don't think that path has worked. We have so many competing communities with tensions at an all-time high. So I think the political situation right now is really bad, and by not having a culture, we don't have something that people can feel proud of, something that people can unite behind, and something that people could ultimately feel proud to be British. Another problem is immigration, another topic that's going to get me into a lot of trouble, but I believe that immigration has damaged our country, particularly illegal immigration. The amount of people that are coming over here illegally, not being deported, not being sent back, the amount of people coming over here is just unsustainable. If you look at it from a practical point of view, you soon will realise, and you shall realise, that this mass migration, this policy of mass migration, which has actively been pursued by our politicians and establishment, is not beneficial for the country.
Okay, so I'm gonna interrupt right here. I'm gonna have to really see if I can filter out any of my words and be as neutral as I can, because, you know, I want to respect the community guidelines of YouTube. Because it's important, right? If you want to make it on YouTube, you gotta play by the rules. So first and foremost, let's talk about, okay, you know, Great Britain, the United Kingdom, England losing its cultural identity, its cultural religious identity, right? So first and foremost, it's never been and will never be about colorism. It's mainly about having something you're familiar with, something you're brought up with, moral standards, customs, beliefs, whatever, anything that creates the foundation of a country, something that the country strongly holds onto as its own. It claims its own. It finds all the strengths and all the glory within those standards that will be upheld, you know, for a long time. Sorry, I'm distracted because the cat wants to jump on the keyboard. But the point is that these things are very important because that defines whether a country is strong or not. That also gives a direct understanding of what the country is about. Now, if you import a lot of people that do not wish to contribute or do not wish to integrate or do not wish to share these values in equal measures, you know, it doesn't mean that a person has to lose their personal identity or their own cultural background and swap it and replace it. They don't have to do anything of that sort. The point of the matter is that it's about prioritizing the host country and what is expected of you as a new citizen. and it seems to be less and less likely that that has been the case for newer people to come. And the UK is just one example, one prime example where these things seem to be very problematic. The same goes for France, the same goes for Belgium, the same goes for Germany, the same goes for Austria, the same goes for Italy. There's so many countries in Western Europe and Central Europe that struggle with the same problem. It's not just people that want to start over, people that want to be a part of the societal norms, be a part of society, integrate, adopt, adjust in the way that it contributes. You kind of add yourself to the existing culture and the traditions and the norms and the religion, everything that defines the country as it is, as it was, as it used to be. Now, we all know that every time we go into the future, things change and advance and adjust. People contribute, people take away. These things happen. It's always been a part of life. But when it happens in such a rate that you cannot keep up, it is changing literally day by day in front of your eyes. And people that are in charge allow it to happen because they have some sort of utopian perspective. They have their own outlook on how they want to see society in the near future being 2025, 2030, 2035. And it doesn't include everything that you got familiar with, not something you hold near and dear. So there are two options. In a worst case scenario, it's either you look for an alternative, you go beyond that, and you invest in a different type of country and economy and participate and be a part of that and grow and advance. And there are multiple countries you can choose out of, and it's possible. You can do anything these days. You're not that limited as you might think. Or you stay and hope and pray that you can be a part of the new upcoming culture and society. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I believe it's either you stay, you pray and you hope for the best, that it doesn't get to that point, but the damage has already been done. There are many people that can't move, that are stuck. They have to go through it. That's even worse. But for people that have the option, I would say take it, because it's a God-given right to do so. You do not owe any loyalty, you don't own anything to a country that deserts you as its people. Then you should go to somewhere else where you will have a place where you have the opportunity to actually participate in something you identify with or want to identify with. At this point is, the things you do not identify with, they want to determine your lifestyle, the outcome of your life, and how it's going to be for you in the future, whether you want it or not. And it will be enforced by law and court, and they can make anything happen. Proof is in the pudding. You can tell. So it's just terrible. It's just terrible that people at this point have to either leave or adjust. It should have never been like this. It should have never come to this point in time. Why did it happen? Because they let it happen.
So that's the first kind of part of what I wanted to say. British culture isn't at all very well. It's not very good. And you can't identify it as a singular, identifiable thing. Another thing is the British attitude. And this is a problem that resides with the people that live here. There is an attitude in Britain where it's to do with class. It's to do with what class you're born in. So in a job I was working in recently in hospitality, you would see a lot of business class people. And a lot of people in that kind of upper working class, that kind of almost middle class section of society, have a sheer contempt for the people below them. A sheer contempt for people who they consider are below them. In reality, they're not. We're all humans looking to make our own way and navigate throughout this life. But the fact is, there still is a identifiable class system which people use to integrate into their personalities in. This is the idea of tall poppy syndrome. So anyone looking to break the glass ceiling, break above their class, do something better for themselves, do something that's out of the ordinary, do something that's out of the box, people do not like that. It's called the tall poppy syndrome. You get this in a lot of Western countries, not particularly America, but you get it in this country especially, because I'm from Britain. I can talk about Britain. But tall poppy syndrome is a huge problem. If you're aspiring, if you're trying to make something of your life, earn money maybe digitally, earn money online, a lot of people, especially in your family and the older generations, are very ingrained within the traditional way of making money, which was going to school, get a good education, get a good job, work your way up the ladder, and eventually you'll be able to retire and have a good life. By good life, they mean live for the weekend, get absolutely pissed on the weekend, and basically live for those 2 days. I don't want to be living for those 2 days, nor should you. There is more to life than working to live. I don't have anything wrong with working. I encourage hard work, especially on something that you're interested in. If you really want to become a doctor, yes, going to university is the right option for you, but I'll talk about that later in the video. There's the tall poppy syndrome, which is one aspect. There's also the aspect that people are moody, and this kind of ties in with the idea of a class system. So the fact that there are snobs, let's call them, to use the term, there are people that are quite snobbish towards people that are considered below them. These people tend to be arrogant, they tend to be moody, and they tend to have a lot of problems deep down inside of them that they haven't quite dealt with, and they tend to externalize their problems onto other people. This breeds for a bad culture, bad working environment, and that's why you see a lot of office politics. A lot of people nowadays, a lot of the younger generation, can't be bothered to deal with office politics. Why would I be going to work and having to deal with people talking complete rubbish behind my back and trying to undermine my position, trying to undermine what I'm doing for that particular company? I just don't see a point in it. Life is too short to worry about things like that. But yes, moody people, arrogant people, I just can't stand them. And maybe this is a problem I have within myself, but I just can't stand moody and arrogant people. People that think they're better than me, for example. Let's say the example of me working in the hospitality industry. People as a barman, let's say. People thinking that...
You know, this type of elitism or snobism you do come across in many places of the world. You know, it's not just it's not just UK, it's not just Britain. You know, you can actually find that many places of the world, and it mainly has to do with this mindset. As the more you earn, the higher your social status is. You know, the stronger the position is in society. That actually allows you to behave a certain way, allows you to treat people a certain way. It kind of gives you that privilege. It's a mindset. It's something you can find in most places of the world, and you know, it's just something that has to do with a certain perspective concerning life. And most people that are born into money, or have higher degrees for generation or had standing or some type of position in politics, they will always behave a certain way, that they're always entitled and above other people. It's kind of like, you know, wherever they are at life, whatever they achieved or their family has achieved, their name has achieved, they're gonna utilize that and use that as an excuse to treat people poorly. And you can say that has to do with, like I said, traditional values, but in the sense of elitism, like social class. And that's what it's about. If you're born in that situation, if you're doing that type of job, if that's your position in society, then that's the treatment you're gonna get. Because you didn't do well, you're a failure, you're a loser, and now I have an excuse to crap all over you. And that's the sad part. But it's something you can find everywhere in the world. But yes, it is mainly a specific type of countries. We used to have that here extremely hard with the French-speaking community and the Flemish-speaking community, that people that would come from the French-speaking part, specifically Brussels, for example, that they would find themselves more on a higher level than the typical Flemish-speaking people. And history has proven itself that it was the French influence that gave people more that sense of, oh, we're better, we're superior, we're supreme. And people that would speak Flemish solemnly would be basically like peasants. And that mindset still got transferred over into current day situation where people will still utilize that as an excuse to treat people poorly. And I've seen that myself as well. I've been in these environments as well. I can still witness that. But it's definitely more bound to an older generation, like Gen X, for example, and boomers. Like these type of people, mainly this group, these categories, have that mindset still. They still go with it. You know, it's kind of like something that's engraved in their brain. It's not their fault completely, but it does play a part. And yeah, you will find that more in the West than the East. It's very true.
Better than me, and treating me with sheer contempt. And just because they're maybe tired from the day's work, because they've lived this life of going into work and dealing with office politics and dealing with the problems of work for so long, by the time they're finished, they're miserable. So they come home, or they come to a hotel or a bar, a restaurant, and take it out on the waiter or the barman, just because they haven't done something particularly, or they haven't got to them instantly. I once had a guy expect me to pour him a drink the second it was poured. So he came down, he sat down in the restaurant, and he put his order through. And then literally, I checked on the ticket. 1 minute later, he was like, "Where's my drink? Where's my drink?" Well, look, I've got other things to do as well as make your drink. I'm trying to prioritize it, trying to organize it. But that's an example of people being impatient. This sort of, I guess you could say, typical British attitude. The last thing I want to talk about is opportunities. You don't have a lot of opportunities in this country. Now, a lot of people are going to get annoyed with me saying that. And yes, I'm grateful to be born in Britain. But I don't think the opportunities that this country offers anymore are particularly unique. If you have the traditional view of how the world works, go to university, get a good education, even then you'd have to concede that the education standard in this country has dropped considerably. You'd even have to consider that the education system is not up to standard. That's because we have loads of what we call Mickey Mouse degrees that you don't actually need a degree for. You could have done a course. It could be a course named something else. Doesn't have to be a degree, but it's deflated the value of a degree. Yes, if you want to go into a very knowledgeable area, you need to pursue a degree in that particular field, and I'm not bashing anyone that does, but it's the fact that the opportunity that university presents itself, and I'm not going to apologise for this, is shit. University is a scam, a bad investment, a bad return on investment. If you're a young man, aged 18 to 24, in Britain, you're lucky in the aspect you've got a British passport, it goes a long way, and you're lucky in the aspect that you have somewhat decent infrastructure. You have Wi-Fi that works, you have a home, you tend to have a family. Yes, there are disadvantages, but exceptions don't disprove the rule. The rule is most people have a family. Most people are provided for while they're between the ages of maybe 16 to 18, and then they kind of make their own way, but their parents don't completely just leave them in the wild. That's my experience anyway. So you have the opportunity to make money online and do something different with your life, do something out of the box. That's where people tend to bring you down. You'll see it in the comment section of this video, you'll see it in real life, you'll see it with your friends and even your family. Tall poppy syndrome is real, and it all ties in together. So the educational opportunities in this country are not good, but the institution of online education is, the opportunity is amazing. I used to think online money was a scam, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of scamming things out there, but I was speaking to a coach I was working with recently, who was very much on the same wavelength as me, and he was saying how this opportunity is a gold rush. It's a digital gold rush, and of course you're going to have snake oil salesmen in this gold rush, but it's up to you to make the difference. Okay, so that's my rant kind of over. about how I think Britain is a failed society. It's a collapsed nation. It's over. I don't see it getting any better. The political corruption in this country is so far removed from society that I don't believe there's any coming back, even with maybe Reform UK. I just simply don't think it. So if that offends you, I'm not sorry, but I'm looking to make a difference in this world, either through my videos or through my written content. Any way I can make a difference that's breaking this mold of tall poppy syndrome, miserable, non-British, cultured idiots. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video, sharing it with your friends, and commenting your thoughts down below, and drop a subscribe if you think I can offer more value to your life.
Okay, that was the video. Very interesting. You know, if I would have gone back in time and I would have been his age, I would definitely have made those steps that I'm making right now way earlier. That's the only thing I do regret, that I have. If I would have done that 15 years ago, I would have been more and better, well established in a new country, a new culture, and a new environment, and I would have prospered dramatically. I personally think that, you know, my advice in this would be that, yeah, I do advise young men to look out, you know, beyond where they are in life and see beyond the borders, yeah, and think about all the alternatives that there are. There is a lot of remote work. There are a lot of opportunities you can do online. There's a lot of things you can do, and that means that you're not bounded to stay in the country you're born in, especially not in a Western country. I personally do not believe, and that's maybe me being a pessimist, that these countries that are struggling so hard with mass illegal immigration and a complete cultural shift, you know, whether they like it or not, whether, you know, whether people are okay with it or not, whether people are accepting of it or not, the point is that it turns your home country, your environment, into something foreign, literally foreign. And then the choice is, are you going to stay or are you going to go? Do you have to stay? Do you want to stay? You have to ask yourself these questions. And the best thing to do is share your opinion, share options and alternatives, and, you know, be real about it. Like, for me, the same thing. If I walk around in the small city I live, I mean, you basically can't communicate with anybody anymore in the country's languages, mainly being Flemish, French, and German, and English as an international language. So it means you got 3 parts of a country where you could speak either one of these languages. Now, I'm living in a part where it's mainly Flemish / if you go more up north, French. But the thing is, you can't find anybody that speaks a common language anymore. Everybody speaks either an Arabic dialect or they speak an African dialect, or you know, like, so it becomes very complicated. And if you think about World War I and World War II, when countries helped allies and brought in, you know, people that were in need, you know, to be able to be safe and then again go back and rebuild and make money during the meantime and contribute and give back. There were all countries that either shared a common language or a common culture, common religion, and it was always temporary. But these days it's not a temporary thing, and you don't have to do anything to prove yourself. And that's the downfall of these societies, is mainly the welfare system. And that's what I've noticed. It's always that is the main driving force for people to come over. It's either easy to establish your own business, even if you're crooked and corrupt or whatever, you know, you can just do it and just loan money from the government and never pay it back. And every time it fails, you go bankrupt and you start all over again. Or you use it as a laundry scheme, you know, money laundering scheme, you know, to fund whatever corrupt business. Or you just stay on a certain social status while you can financially benefit from you know, the government, taxpayers' money. So all these systems are the main driving force for a lot of people to to pick specific countries. Like if you don't have to pay rent, if you don't have to pay your bills, if you don't have to contribute to taxes, if you get free health insurance, then of course people are gonna flood in masses, in droves. And in a way, I can understand if you think about the places they come from. But the other way, these things cannot remain free. And when the main driving force, the nationals of a country flee the home country to pursue something else, and all these people become the majority that only benefit from the social system, welfare system, but it's not being funded anymore because there's nobody anymore paying the money to fund it. Who's going to do it then? What's going to happen then? It's going to be complete chaos. There is no loyalty in the people that come to seek opportunities, so to speak, because if something fails here, they're going to go to another country. They're always going to hop from one to another, and that's not a good investment. It's mainly about intentions, mindset, and investment and participation. And to me, it's very simple. If I'm in the process of moving and immigrating to a different country, it's about me being a part of that country, that culture, the language, the religion, anything that makes that country unique to itself. I want to be a part of it. I don't want to be the foreigner for the rest of my life in that country because I see myself as better or superior, whatever I believe in or stand for. No, I have my own, but at the same time, I also want to participate and give back economically wise. And that's something that's missing with people that come in, in masses. They don't have that mindset. And I see it all around me, it's really a sad state. And yeah, it can be frustrating. For me, it's mainly, I can't communicate anymore with anybody because nobody speaks a common language anymore. It just makes me feel less and less at home, less and less at ease, and less comfortable. And the sad thing is the majority of people that are nationals as well, national borns, there are a lot of people that are just too blind, they don't care. I don't know what's going on. I think they're completely brainwashed. But for me, it's about, I want to preserve certain things that I find valuable, and I'm not able to do so when these things become more and more the mentality, the mindset, the majority, then whatever I hold dear and near and sacred, it's not gonna matter. I will not have a choice over saying it anymore, and I don't want to let it come to that point in time. Idly sitting and waiting patiently is not going to help. It's not going to solve anything. And the best thing is just to look for an alternative and to see what your options are and to go with that. You're not bound to stay put. You have opportunities, you have liberties. Take full advantage of that and make something out of your life and contribute and give back to a country economically that will give you its all, and both can benefit. That's the main driving force in today's society. So I just want to thank everybody for watching, and as usual, I will see you in the next video. I just wanted to take a few seconds to thank everybody who watched the video until the end. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and like. I do appreciate all the moments we've shared together until this point, and I hope we will have many more in the near future. Take care, have a nice day, and we'll see each other in the next video.